Okay, let's start. Again, good afternoon, class. Actually, natutuwa ako kasi natapos kong basahin yung first activity natin, yung sinend ko sa messenger. So, I'm happy with what I read. And I'm really looking forward na sana may matuto kayo, may matutunan kayo sa akin, and ma-appreciate nyo yung subject natin. So, also, uh, I hope na ma-meet natin yung mga expected grades nyo 10%. So, as an introduction na rin, ako naman magpapakilala sa inyo. So, my name is RJ Milio. I'm originally from Gimba, Nueva Ecija. I graduated sa Central Luzon City Bachelor of Science in Accountancy last June 2019. Then I took the board, CPA board exam last October 2019. And then, fortunately, nakapasa naman tayo ng first day. First job was in SGV. If familiar kayo with SGV, Sisit Gorex Vilayan Company, yung member firm ng Ernst & Young. So I worked there as a senior tax associate for 2 years. I've handled manufacturing entities, real estate companies, and then pharmaceutical companies. So basically, what I did there was we ensure tax compliances of our clients. No, kami yung nagpe-prepare ng tax return nila, kami nagre-review nila, or minsan kami mismo gumagawa ng computations. We also assist them to some special engagements like tax assessment, mga BI or audit sila, kami yung nag-a-assist sa kanila, kami yung nagpe-prepare ng mga reconciliations, kami nagpe-prepare ng mga rebuts dun sa mga assessment na pinoprovide ng BIR. No? Kami yung nagka-counter-argue. We also have this special engagement, what we call tax health check. So basically, our output in tax health check is to provide recommendations or suggestions on how the company will be able to improve its taxation system. So dun papasok yung paano ba dapat yung tamang recording, ano dapat yung hinihingi requirements, mga ganyan. Kasi umalis ako last October lang din. I think okay naman yung experience ko doon. And then lumipat ako sa Shell Philippines. And now I am working as a joint sessions. So what I am doing right now is I'm handling venture assets of Shell, specifically those located in Brazil. So ang mga kausap ko, mga Chennai, mga taga-Brazil. And ayun, exciting naman since ibang point of view na to, ako na yung preparer, ako na yung operator ng mismong asset. And then, I got interested joining AU as a part-time faculty since nirefer ako ng classmate ko ng college. I don't know if kilala niyo si Sir Frank, but yun, sabi niya may opening daw for part. So, yeah, ever since naman, may interest ko. Nag-volunteer ako ng tutorial before ng college ako. So, ano lang, kumbaga, trying new things. And syempre, iba rin yung fulfillment kapag may mga bata kang natuturuan. So, natin, at the end of the sem, no, may matuto kayo. Matuto kayo about tax since, to be honest, taxation is a very difficult subject. Sa board exam, siya talaga yung deciding factor ng kasama ng RFBP or yung law. Sila talaga yung kumbaga sila yung ating line kung sino yung papasa or sino yung hindi papasa sa board exam. So sana may matutunan talaga kayo and mapalakas natin yung foundation niyo sa taxation. Kasi it's a very crucial subject. And actually even iba kapag accountant ka with expertise or with knowledge about taxation, iba yung value mo na mamibigay sa company or sa client. So ayun, I'm really looking forward so ayun, that's my introduction. Do you have any questions? Wala naman?
Wala naman po, sir.
Okay. Sige, I think I'll proceed na with discussion proper. So, basic principles in taxation, introduction lang din talaga to, no? So, what are learning objectives for this day? At the end of this day, dapat ma-provide ko yung classroom syllabus contents. And then, next one is to summarize the concept of Philippine taxation and implementation, and to recognize the limitations of power of taxation, and to describe the situs or place of taxation and other concepts of taxation. So, mag-start na tayo. So yan, meron akong list of classroom policies. So I expect each and every one of you na sundin siya, no? Please bear in mind itong mga classroom policies natin. Number 1, punctuality and attendance. Since once a week lang tayo nag-meet, so dapat attend na tayo kasi baka may mga discussions ako na hindi nakalagay sa handout na kumbaga mga experiences or examples na may mention ko lang through discussion na baka isama ko sa quiz or exam. So, expect you to attend my class since once a week lang naman siya. And of course, respect each other's time, no? So, if 1 p.m. ang natin ang class, so be there at 1 p.m. Next one is mute yourself except when you have the floor. So, most of the time, I'll be the one to speak, no? Ako yung magsasalita since I'll be discussing. Pero if given the chance na kayo naman yung tinanong, may it be recitation. So yun, I expect you to unmute yourself and speak, no? Kapag kinakausap. And then raise your hand virtually for permission to speak. So pag nagdi-discuss ako, if you want something to ask or question, you can raise your hand. And then, eto, hindi pala to siya, tinanong ko yung mga nauna kong class, sabi nila hindi naman daw required. So, keep your video sana on. Kaso, hindi ko na lang din siguro since baka makaano pa ng connection. And then, fifth one is avoid distracting backgrounds or actions. Of course, kapag may nagsasalita, dapat wala tayong ginagawang distractions para nakafocus yung mga kaklase natin. And lastly, respect, no? I'm here to teach you guys, and I expect din na sa inyo, since in-enroll nyo itong class na to and you wanted to be an accountant someday, and it's really part of so dapat i-enjoy nyo. Yun nga, sundin yung mga analysis. If you have concerns or inquiries, just let me know sa GC natin. So let's practice an open communication in this class. No? If every time may inquiries kayo or may mga concern na you think naman I can address or kayang gawa ng paraan, so just let me know. Any violent reactions sa classroom policies ko? Hello?
Wala naman po, sir.
Thank you so much. How about the others?
Wala naman
Wala
po,
po,
sir.
sir. Wala naman po, sir.
Okay.
Wala po.
Clear
Wala
naman,
po,
no?
sir.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move on to the next slide. So, this one is your grading system. Kung mapapansin nyo, kakaiba siya dun sa mga usual subjects. Taxation is a board subject. So, may kakaibang grading system dinesign yung AU for board subjects. So, your first term would be first term grade would be the 20% of your final. And then your second term grade would be another 20% of your final grade, and the third term grade would be another 20% of your. And the remaining 40% would be the departmental examination. So for each term of the semesters, the grade composition ay 30% quiz, class participation, including seat work, attendance, and assignments, 20%. And then term examinations, 40%. Mapapansin nyo, but be the quizzes and term examinations. And 20% lang yung attendance. Pero yun nga kako, hindi ka rin naman makakasagot ng or term exam if hindi ka nag-attend ng class, if hindi mo ginawa yung seat work, if hindi mo ginawa, kung hindi mo ginawa yung modules mo. So I don't think you'll be able to answer all the questions in our quizzes and term examination if hindi mo sila nagawa prior. So very crucial, kahit na sabihin mong 20% lang yan. Kumbaga ripple effect yan eh. Kapag hindi ka okay dun sa mga seat work in attendance, I don't think you'll be able to answer the questions in quizzes and exams. So ayun, wag tayong mag-isipin na, yung quizzes magpo-focus. No, dapat lahat yan pag-focusan natin. Para at the end of the SEM, di ba, walang mga regrets, no? Especially may hinahabol ni retention. So, ayun. Saka ano lang naman eh, konting panahon na lang naman yung pag-aaral yung second year na kayo. Mabilis na lang yan. O hindi nyo mamalayan, graduating na kayo. So, seryosohin na lang natin. So, any questions sa grading system? Wala naman. Okay, I can proceed now with the next slide. So yeah, let's start now with discussion proper. So I posted a question in GCR and may mga sumagot naman dun. So, ano nga ba ang taxation? So taxation is the inherent power of the sovereign exercised through the legislature to impose burdens upon subjects within its jurisdiction for the purpose of raising revenue the legitimate objects of government. So, himay-himayin natin yung definition ni Cooley sa taxation. So, first, it is inherent power of sovereign. So, meaning every government, every state has power to tax, no? Meron silang karapatang taxan yung mga tao, mga property, or mga transactions as long as they want. That's the inherent power. Kumbaga, it's a supreme power of a government to tax everything. Sabi nga nila, from the day of your birth to the day of your death, tinataxan ka ni government. May mga corresponding taxes yan. Yung tax ng birth certificate, ng death certificate mo, ng bayad mo sa pinaglibingan mo, everything, yung VAT na binayad mo dun sa mga ginamit nung pinanganak ka, lahat, meron talagang tax. So, it is a supreme power of the government. So, through legislature, so meaning it has a process, no? Hindi lang siya basta-basta, gusto ni government mag-tax ng ganito. No, it has to have a process. So, meron yung process through the legislature. May mga law, may mga corresponding laws, may corresponding regulations and issuances na kumbaga, yun yung nagmamaterialize or nag-i-implement ng power to tax ng government. To impose burdens upon subjects and objects within its jurisdiction. So yun nga, everyone and everything, every transaction, as long as it's within its jurisdiction, meaning part of the Philippines, within the Philippines, or under niya is within the Philippine government. So yun nga, it's a very supreme power. And lastly, it's for the purpose of raising revenues to carry out. Sorry.
Wala po.
How about the others? Choppy din ako sa iba.
Medyo po.
Medyo po.
Okay. Sana ako nag-start mag-chop. Sige. So, ayun nga, sabi dito, for the purpose of raising revenues to carry out the legitimate objects of government. So, bakit nga ba kasi may taxation, no? Of course, the very main reason is to collect money. Money, bakit nagko-collect ng money sa government? Of course, to carry out its legitimate objects. So, ano ba itong mga legitimate objects na sinasabi ni Pulley? So, ito yung mga daily operations ng government. Ito yung mga na need nila for its projects, yung mga sa government officers, yung pambili nila ng mga materyales sa pagpapagawa nila ng public schools, public hospitals, roads. So anything that would be beneficial to the public. So basically, yun yung sinasabi ng taxation. And then taxes, these are the enforced proportional contributions from person and property levied by the lawmaking body of the state by virtue of its sovereignty for the support of government and all public needs. So, how do we implement through collection of taxes? So, ito yung taxes, ito yung mga binabayad natin. Ito yung mga value tax, income tax, documentary stamp tax, expanded withholding tax. So, we have a lot of taxes, no? Sabi ko nga, lahat tinatax ng government. Ito yung contribution natin as a citizen sa ating government, no? Uh, enough resources to daily operations and to materialize yung mga projects. Next slide. Essential elements of a tax. So, can you read all the 7 essential elements of a tax? Trisha Erese. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes po.
Okay.
Number 1, it is an enforced contribution. Number 2, it is generally payable in money. Number 3, it is proportionate in character. Number 4, it is levied on persons, property, or the exercise of a right or privilege, or excise tax. Number 5, it is levied by the state which has jurisdiction over the subject or object of the taxation. Number 6, it is levied by the lawmaking body of the state. And number 7, it is levied for public purposes or purposes.
Thank you, Trisha. So, isa-isahin natin. These are the essential elements of a tax. So, unang-una, it is an enforced contribution. Ano ba pag sinabing enforce? Meaning sa pilitan, no? You can't say no. Kapag siningil ka ng government ng tax, hindi ka pwede. Pag nag-grocery ka, tapos may corresponding VAT yung binili, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin sa cashier ng SM hypermarket or ng kung ano mang supermarket na, no, I will not pay the related VAT. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin. It is an enforced contribution. Us, citizens of the Philippines, are really required, no? It is part of our responsibility as a citizen of the government. So, forced contribution. So, number 2, it is generally payable in money. So, through dun sa mga transactions natin, since ang pinapambayad naman pera, so, yun yung kinokollect ni yun yung kinokollect. So, ano yung usually, bakit sinabing generally lang? So, there are instances din kasi na government would resort to other, for instance, for example, hindi ka nakabayad ng real tax mo or kung ano man, or basta you have liability sa government, no? Pwede niyang i-convert in other means, pwede niyang kunin yung iba mong property as a means of payment. So, there are instances na ganun. Pero most of the time, through money yung payment natin ng taxes. So, number 3, it is a proportionate in character, meaning may mga portion yan, kaya meron tayong mga rates. Kung mapapansin nyo din, may mga the progression rate na for this amount of transaction, ito yung at for this amount of consumption, may corresponding rate. No, for instance, yung VAT natin is 12%. Tapos yung income tax naman, may progression table siya, no? So, proportion siya in character. Number 4, it is levied on persons, property, or exercise of a right or privilege. So, basically, tinatax niya yung any person or mga property or yung right or privilege or yung right mo to transact with other people. For instance, yung donation. We have donor's tax, di ba? So, you have the right or you have the privilege to donate, no? And in exchange, ita-tax ka ni government kasi, kumbaga, you have the privilege na mag-transfer ng property or ng kung ano man dun sa donee mo. And levied by the state which has jurisdiction over the subject or object of taxation. So mamaya, I'll be discussing din yung limitations ni government. Sabi dito na dapat within which has kung saan lang siya may jurisdiction, meaning may mga limitations, no? So kung sa government, yung power to tax niya or yung tax niya would be applicable only to the Philippine government or yung citizen ng Philippines residing within the Philippines. So number 6, it is levied by the lawmaking body of the state. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko, no, may process and our regulations or tax-related laws, nanggagaling yan sa mga lawmaking body ng state natin. Ano ba yun? Yung House of Representatives. And lastly, it is levied for public purpose or purposes. So yun nga, that's the ideal essential element of tax na dapat for public purpose. Dapat yung pinakolekta nila, yun yung gagamitin din, no, for benefit ng public. So yun yung mga pang-pasweldo ng mga government officials na the daily operations for the government, yung mga projects ni government, bridges, hospitals, schools. So dapat doon siya napupunta. No? So kaso in our case here in the Philippines, which is corruption is minsan hindi na rin natutupad yan. No? Kaya ideally, dapat for public purpose talaga. Hindi yung nabubulsa lang ng mga government officers. So yeah, that's the 7 essential elements of a tax. Do you have questions so far? Feel free to raise your hand if you have questions. So I can address it. I guess wala namang questions. Sige, let's move on. So, theory of taxation. Sige, based sa nakalagay dyan, ano pagkakaintindi mo? Sige, I'll call someone. Ito, maganda yung name niya. Summerly. Hi, Summerly.
Hello po.
Are you there? Hello.
Yes. Yes po, sir.
Ano dito sa theory of taxation na nakapresent?
Sir, parang yung pagkakaintindi ko po sa theory ng taxation is yung power daw po ng taxation ay doon na parang nag-i-start siya sa existence ng kung paano po nagiging importante yung government para sa makapag-ano ng tax, ganun po ba?
Yeah, I agree naman.
Sir, yung ano po, yung parang ibig pong sabihin niyan na yung government po is necessary para po makapag yung sa mga expenses po ng government, doon po sila kumukuha sa mga tax po na binabayad po ng tao, ganun po.
Yes. Correct. Thank you, Summerly. Ganda ng name mo. Ayun, that's correct, no? So, the power of taxation proceeds upon the theory that existence is a necessity. So, ang sinasabi lang dito, for every nation, no, for every country, it has to have a government or law governing body. So in our case, we have what we call the Philippine government. And for a Philippine government, since it is really vital, no, for our nation, kasi imagine nyo, pag walang Philippine government, sino magagawa ng batas? Who will determine what is right or wrong? So kapag wala tayong ganung guidance, hindi natin alam kung tama ba yung ginagawa natin. Kaya meron tayong mga laws. Kaya meron tayong government. So, since we have this, what we call government, for a government to really function well, they need resources. So, paano sila magkakakuha ng resources? Doon papasok yung theory of taxation. So, for a government to really function well or to materialize its project, kailangan niya ng resources. So, we have this taxation. And yun nga, it cannot continue without means to pay its expenses. And for these means, it has a right to compel all its citizens' property within its limit to contribute. So for a government to really function, magawa niya yung mga task niya para mapaayos niya din yung nation, kanya ng pera. And for the government to have that, kailangan niya mag-collect sa mga tao niyo or to its citizens through tax. So yun yung basically theory of taxation. Tapos kung mapapansin nyo rin dito, compel all its citizens' property within its limit to contribute. Meaning, hindi siya, yung collection of taxes ni government would be depending on the ability to pay ng kanyang citizens. So pag mahirap ka, of course, hindi ka naman i-compare. Kaya nga meron tayong tinatawag ng mga minimum wage earner. Minimum wage earner ka, meaning you're only earning the minimum wage ni government kasi grabe naman yun. Ang liit na nga ng sahod mo, tataksan ka pa ni government. So ang nangyayari, meron tayong, if you earn more or if you have the ability, you have the more ability to pay, kumbaga you have more ability to earn, dun ka mas tataksan ni government. So may ganun siyang portion din, no, yung theory of taxation. Kumbaga somehow it mitigates inequalities kasi ang tataksan ko lang ng malaki, of course, yung mga taong malalaki yung sahod. Yung mga konti na lang yung sahod or yung mga talagang mga konti yung sahod, hindi ko natataksan para mas ma-enjoy nila yung ino-earn nila. So yun yung reason din ng last part ng sentence nito, no, within its limit to contribute. So thank you again, Summerly. Next is the basis of taxation. So anyone? Can I have a volunteer? Kung ano lang yung pagkakaintindi natin dito. Or I'll just call another one. Yung maganda rin yung pangalan. Sige, ikaw na lang, Vian Praise. Did I pronounce it correctly? Hi, Vian.
Hello po, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. So, ano pagkakaintindi mo dyan sa basis of taxation?
Sir, yung basis po ng taxation, gaya nga po na sinabi kanina na yung taxes po for the public purposes. So, para po sa basis of taxation, kaya po nagbabayad yung mga taxpayers for their benefits din po para po sa governments. And
yes.
Yun po.
Yes, that's correct, no? Thank you, Vian. Galing.
Thank you po.
So yeah, actually yun yung basis ng taxation. Sabi dito, dapat reciprocal duties of protection and support between the state and its inhabitants. So, ako si government, collect ako ng pera sa inyo. On my end, my responsibility is to utilize it for the benefit nyo rin. Dapat ganun, ideally. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na benefits received principle. So whatever I am collecting from you guys, from all of my citizens, gagawin ko yun, utilize ko yun, gagawa ako ng mga projects na kayo din yung magbe-benefit. So yun, kumbaga siya, mutual relationship. So binibigay lang natin through taxes yung pera natin, may collection si government, and in return, bibigyan nila tayo na like maggagawa sila ng magagandang bridges, gagawa sila ng magagandang hospitals. We can avail public services, no? So yeah, yun yung basis ng taxation. Thank you, Vian. Next one, lifeblood doctrine. Actually, din to, din sila dun sa theory ng theory of taxation. So, government, no? Kaya lifeblood. Kumbaga, hindi magsusurvive or hindi mabubuhay ang isang government kung walang taxation. So, yun lang yung sinasabi nito. So, parang sa tao, pag wala kang dugo, hindi ka talaga mabubuhay. So, they consider it as blood din, kaya tinawag na lifeblood doctrine. So, ito talaga yung nagda-drive for a government to really function well or para mag-exist. Next one is the necessity theory. Taxation is stated in the case of Philippine Guarantee Company Incorporated versus the Commissioner. It is a power predicated upon necessity. Yun nga, since every nation, it is a necessity to have a government or law governing body. Kaya body din na mag-materialize, kailangan nila ng taxation. So iikot lang din talaga doon. So really, it is a necessity. And then, same, kanina din, with the, so ito rin yung sinasabi ng benefits received principle. So, this theory bases the power of the state to demand and receive taxes, the reciprocal duties of support and protection. So, magbabayad kayo kay government for in exchange of support and protection. Yan yung mga pinangpapasahod natin Armed Forces of the Philippines, sa ating mga police, sa ating mga firemen, diba, na ang duty is to really protect the public and to serve the public. And the citizen supports the state by paying the portion from his property that is demanded in order that he may, by means thereof, be secured in enjoyment of the benefits of an organized society. So that's actually what we're paying, no, through taxes, yung organized society. And hopefully, yun talaga yung ginagawa ng government natin. Next slide. Doctrine of symbiotic relationship. Same din to kanina, dun sa benefit received, no? Yun nga, tax for a civilized society. So ito, yung mga sinasabi kanina, yun lang yung other called na theories in relation to tax, but the same meaning. It really revolves around the theory and the basis of taxation. Okay, let's move on to the three inherent powers of the state. So, yung state daw, or yung mga law governing body natin, they have three powers. So, we have the power to tax, the police power, and the power of eminent domain. So, unang-una dyan, yung power to tax. Ang definition niya dito ay as long as constitutional. Supreme in the sense na yun nga ako, government can really tax anything, any person, any transaction. They have this power. No? And yun nga, since it is enforced, wala ka din karapatang mag-say no. Pero yun nga, kaya merong caveat din, as long as constitutional. Of course, kahit na sobrang supreme ng power to tax ni government, ayaw din naman natin na, kumbaga, abusuhin government, no, yung power na yon, since yun nga may limit din yung kinokolekta natin for certain project lang, for certain public purposes lang. So as long as dapat yung power to tax. So later on I'll be discussing yung mga limitations ng taxation or ng power to tax. The next power is the police power. So inherent power to legislate for the protection of the health, general welfare, safety of the public. It involves the power to regulate both liberty and property for the promotion of the public. So basically, ito na yung daily or yung talagang operations ng isang government. No? Kaya we have this different sectors, different offices din, di ba? Department of Agriculture, Department of Public Ways and Highways. So yun, may mga offices no, na really cater yung mga concern or mga needs ng mga citizen. No? So yun yan, to promote the health, of course, in general welfare and safety. Kaya we have this, meron tayong PN, mga police, mga Armed Forces of the Philippines, yung mga firemen natin. No? So dun naman papasok yung police power ng state. And the power of eminent domain. This is very, specific power. And so, the government has the right to take private property for a public purpose. So I'll give you an example. No? If nagta-travel kayo from Nueva Ecija to Manila, di ba, dadaan kayo ng mga expressways. So yung mga expressways naman na yun, hindi naman siya, kumbaga hindi siya free land, no? May mga nagmamay-ari nun before. So since it is a project of the government, no, and public purpose, di ba, to mobilize yung ways of going into places, no? Need talaga siya. It is for public purpose. Kami yung magbe-benefit. So, ang ginawa ni government, since meron siyang power of eminent domain, binili niya yung mga madadaanan ng road or yung mga expressways na ginawa na project niya. So, of course, hindi naman din siya kukunin na libre, no? Baka isipin nyo, si government na manguha ng private property. So, kunin niya na lang ba yan sa gusto niya? Or kung gusto niya na lang ba? Hindi. Of course, it has a process then. So, babayaran din naman yan ng reasonable price. And of course, there will be negotiations then with the owners. Pero yung bottom line is, you really can't say no. Pag nilapagan ka na ng you just had to take it. Kasi, yun nga, effectively, si state pa rin o si government pa rin talaga yung may supreme power. So yun yung power of eminent domain. At this point, may mga question ba kayo? Wala naman. Baka may mga naka-experience nito. For instance, yung mga may mga bahay na malapit sa highway tapos naapektuhan sila ng road widening. Baka may mga ganun din may ganun din. Ganun isa ding example din yun. So, baka binayaran kayo ni government for portion of land na makukover ng road widening. So, doon papasok yung power of eminent domain. So, I think wala namang may questions. Clear pa naman lahat, na-absorb pa. Sige nga. Sige. Okay, let's proceed sa next slide. Basta if you may questions kayo, sabihan nyo lang ako. You can raise your hand. Okay, next slide. The scope of taxation is the most absolute of all powers of the government. So yun yan, parang na-mention ko na rin kanina na paulit-ulit. It really is the supreme power of the government. Kaso meron din sinabi dito sa second part na in the absence of limitation, it is considered unlimited, plenary, comprehensive, and supreme. So, dun papasok ngayon yung mga limitations ng taxation. So, binabalance out din natin yung power na yun para hindi rin siya nga. So, next slide is, eto na, inherent limitation. So, isa-isahin natin. Sige. First, inherent limitations ng taxation is requirement that levy must be for a public purpose. So, dapat, ideally, yung kinokollect na pera ng government in the form of taxes should be used for public purpose. That's the ideal. So, yun dapat yung ginagawa ng mga government officers natin no, kapag binibigyan na sila ng corresponding projects. So, dapat i-utilize nila yun, no, na talagang it is really indeed for public purpose. Kung kani-kanino napupunta or nagiging personal yung nakokolekta nilang taxes. So, that's the limitation. So, kapag magko-collect yung, for instance, magko-collect yung tapos hindi naman for public purpose, so hindi yun tama, no? And then, 2 is non-delegation of legislative power to tax. Ito yung sinasabi, yung mga law-related taxes, no? Meron niyang source, which is our legislation or the House of Representatives, yung mga senator natin, mga congressmen. So basically, since they are the lawmakers of our government, of our state, sa kanila nagsisimula yung mga law na to, yung mga law na related sa tax. For instance, yung latest law, yung CREATE, no, sa House of Representatives, no, of course with collaboration of other government offices na apektado. So, yun. Hindi lang siya, kumbaga, hindi siya pwedeng may certain group of people lang talaga na source of tax. And then, third one, exemption from taxation of government entities. Of course, hindi mo naman pwedeng taxan yung sarili mo, di ba? Ang nag-i-implement ng taxation is government. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo yung mga offices natin, mga Department of Health, hindi mo nagbabayad ng taxation. Kasi nga, tsaka hindi naman sila perfect in the first place. These institutions or these organizations are really there to, to really help in making a civilized society. And then fourth one, we have this international committee. So dito rin papasok yung within its jurisdiction, kanina pa rin na mention. No? So, meron tayong tinatawag na international committee. So, pag meron tayong mga treaties with other company or with other countries, yun, kumbaga, yun yung magro-rule first yung power to tax since may agreement na. And lastly, so Philippine taxation will be only for people or person within the Philippine jurisdiction. So yun yung mga inherent limitations. Kumbaga, meron tayong mga ganito para yun nga, meron ding balance to balance out yung supreme power state na which is the power to tax. Any questions? Wala naman. Status of taxation. Status of taxation, it is a tax jurisdiction to levy taxes upon the objects. So ito kumbaga ito yung place, no? So sabi ko nga, di ba part ng limitation ng power to taxes dapat territorial tapos international committee. So dito, ito din naman yung kung dapat ka bang taksan or hindi. For instance, for a service, 'di ba, ang mga service natin pag nag-avail ka ng service may mga corresponding taxing. So, how do we know kung dapat ka bang taksan dun sa in-avail mo? So, dapat dito, ang nakalagay dito, kung saan na-render yung service. For example, nag-avail ka ng service here in the Philippines. For example, kumuha ka ng professional service from a lawyer or from a CPA. Kunwari, bumili ka ng lupa. So, may professional fee yun. So, yung related tax niya, dapat, since yung service na ni-render is within the Philippines, under the Philippine jurisdiction yun. So, Philippine tax ang mag-a-apply doon. Next is business tax. So, kung saan naman yung kinonduct yung business, kung saan nag-material. So, doon yung corresponding business taxes niya. For instance, yung mga domestic corporations natin, yung mga usual operations nila, no? So, of course, it will be taxed here in the Philippines as well, under the Philippine jurisdiction. Then, third one, we have what we call the property. Of course, ano naman to, parang common sense. Of course, kung nasan yung property, doon, yun yung magde-determine ng place or ng situs. And of course, for personal tax, kung saan nagre-reside yung individual. Bakit kailangan ma-determine to, no? Kasi crucial siya in the sense na dapat alam mo kung sino yung magta-tax sa'yo. Mamaya may di-discuss ako ng double taxation. So, doon din papasok kung bakit yung rationale of why we need to understand or why we need to know that status of taxation. Para alam natin if saan siya magpo-fall, if anong jurisdiction. Will it be under the Philippine jurisdiction? Will it be under the local legislation or local units? Will it be a national tax? Diba? Yun din yung mga kinukuha. Kasi madami yan eh. Actually, in practice, yun yung no, I have a lot of clients na may mga tax opinion tinatanong sa amin sa SGB. Especially yung mga taxes which kunwari will be transacting with international companies or mga abroad or mga transactions abroad, no? So may mga ganon. For instance, for example na lang din, meron akong client before na meron siyang one transaction and syempre pag mga multinational company, one transaction would be hindi nga lang peso, billions of dollars, no? So, imagine yung amount of tax na involved doon. Should it be taxable or not? So, yun yung question nila, no? So, kami as tax practitioner, our purpose or our goal is, to really maximize the benefits. Kung may ways of doing the transaction na hindi siya matataksan or lesser yung rate ng tax, yun yung gagawin namin. Kaya nga, laws din, no? So, yun, well-guided sila by ng mga regulations and issuances ni BIR. And then, on our end, ang binibigay namin suggestions would be what would be the proper way or what would be the best way to kapag pag pinerfect na nila yung transaction na yun. So kapag ginawa na nila talaga. So may mga case kami na yung pag hindi pala nagawa yung sinuggest naming recommendations, they'll be paying 2 billion of taxes, mga ganon. Doon mo makikita ngayon yung value mo as an accountant if you have knowledge, no, about taxation. Kasi yun nga, kako lahat talaga may tax action, may tax. So if you nakita ko marami sa inyo planning to work to big companies, no? So kapag yun ang gusto nyo, tapos sooner or later ma-realize nyo na gusto nyo rin pala ng tax, tapos pag ano nyo na siya, pag ginawa in actual practice, doon nyo marirealize yung talagang value pag knowledgeable ka sa tax if you're an accountant. Kasi yun nga, sa accounting naman ko kasi sa accounting profession natin, ang opportunities. Kumbaga, meron yung marami ka ring service lines na pwedeng pasukan, tapos marami pang mga industry, pwede ka mag-academy, public, tapos sa pag nag-public firm ka, pwede kang mag-audit, consulting, whatever. So yun, kumbaga, as experience ko na lang din, kaya ito hindi ko siya din ganong na-appreciate nung inaaral ko pa, no? Mas na-appreciate ko na lang siya nung in-apply ko na in actual practice. Kasi, grabe. Talagang need talaga palang malaman tong status of taxation. Kasi from there, dun mo malalaman kung sino, ano, kung magkano yung itatax dun sa corresponding property ba yun, transactions, or tao. So yeah, very, very mahalaga to yung status of. So, I think, i-consider ko din to sa mga quizzes, no? I'll be giving scenarios. For example, nagbenta si ganito ng ganyan. Ano yung, saan yung sites of taxation? For example, si Pedro bumili ng isda sa Pilipinas. Tapos binenta niya abroad. Saan ang situs? Yung mga. So yun. So dapat alam natin by heart. Madali lang naman tandaan eh. Sa service, kung saan na-render yung service. Yung business, kung saan na-conduct yung business. Yung property, kung saan nakalocate yung property. Kung personal tax yan, kung saan naka-reside yung individual. Clear ba yun? And actually, to be honest, aral din ako, ito yung mga madalas na may mga trick, no? Kasi crucial nga talaga yung pag-identify ng status of taxation. Ano din, marirealize nyo rin yan sa mga future tax subjects nyo. Lalo pag may mga nag-computation na. So, minsan, in-incorporate din nila yung pag-status. Kasi nga, iba yung magiging tax kapag iba yung place for status. Yun. Kaya kung mapansin nyo, binigyan ko rin ng emphasis to. Sana na-gets nyo yung rationale behind. So, walang questions so far. Na-gets naman. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Naintindihan po, sir.
Yan. Thank you, Kate. How about the others? Ikaw, Ivan Joshua. May question ka?
Wala po, sir.
Okay. Ikaw, Desiree Joy.
Wala po, sir.
Okay. Clear naman. Okay. Sige. Let's move na sa next slide. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, no? Double taxation. So, can you read the first two bullets? Ano? Abigail Pinpin.
Double taxation. Double taxation refers to income tax being paid twice on the same source of income. Double taxation occurs income is taxed at both the corporate level and personal level as in the case of stock dividends.
Ayan, thank you. Ito, isa din tong concept, yung undergrad na hindi ko ganong ang pagkaka-appreciate ko lang dyan, okay, natatak siya ng twice. So, hindi kasi, hindi yan valid, no? Hindi siya correct. Kasi nga, nataksan ka na, no? Ang reason ng taxes to mitigate inequalities, pero very unreasonable kang dalawang beses, no? The same source of income. And for practice, doon ko siya na-appreciate kasi ito yung madalas na nagiging inquiries ng mga clients namin. Kung kasi nataksa na daw sila sa ganito tapos may another tax na naman. For example, meron tayong tinatawag na ang issues din na related dito kapag you have transaction other countries, no? Kasi sa ibang countries may other means of taxation din. So, ang mga inquiry nila, nataksa na kami sa ganitong country, ganyan, nataksa na kami sa Philippines, pero may sinisingil pa ulit nakaka-transact namin. So, dun papasok yung double taxation. So, ang rule naman dyan is dapat you will not be taxed twice income. For example, nataksan ka na ng withholding tax mo. For example, nagtatrabaho na kayo sa mga sa mga multinational companies. Meron tayong tinatawag na withholding tax, no, kapag empleyado ka. So, sa withholding tax, kapag substituted filing ka, hindi ka na, nataksan ka na in effect kasi nga ang nag-process na ng tax mo on your behalf is your employer. Yun yung tinatawag na wages or withholding tax and compensation. So, hindi ka na ulit pwedeng taksan pa ni BIR kung saan ka man located. Kasi nga, nataksan ka na actually, hindi ka nataksan ng employer mo. Nakapag-withhold na si employer mo nung supposedly tax mo. So, hindi ka na required o hindi ka na i-compel ni BIR na magbayad ulit ng tax. Yung sinahod mo, kumbaga, net of tax na yun. Kumbaga, na-remit mo na in effect tax na due mo kay government. And then third is double taxation also refers to the same income being taxed by two different countries. Ito din yung sinasabi ko na usual na nangyayari, especially sa mga multinational companies na may transactions with other countries. So, dito papasok din yung mga, yung crucial yung taxation. Saan ba dapat kasi siya dapat mataksan? Saan ba yung status niya? And then, last one is why argue that dividend double taxation is unfair. Advocates say that without it, wealthy stockholders could virtually avoid. So dito, kung yung dividends, pero I think madidiscuss pa to na latter part or sa business dito? Oo, business tax ata. Wait lang, ask ko lang, ilang tax yung nasa program? Di ba first tax nyo to? Second year? Tama ba?
Yes po.
Tapos sa third year, ilang tax subjects pa ulit? Hindi kasi ako na-sharean nung yung list of subjects. Pero yung based dun sa teacher's guide, parang nahati siya amin sa CLB for nag-tax kami third year na eh. Kaya second year may tax na. So anyway, going back to our discussion. So yun yung idea ng double taxation, no? Dapat hindi ka mataksan twice. Yung same income mo dapat hindi matax twice or hindi mataksan ng twice in the sense na tataksan siya ng magkaibang units or different countries. So yun yung idea behind double taxation. So next concept is the shifting the tax burden. This is the process by which tax burden is transferred from here to another without violating the law. Ang ano niyan, ang perfect example ng shifting the tax burden is yung VAT or yung VAT. Kumbaga, yung mga main producers niya, syempre yung mga materials na binili niya, may VAT na yan. Tapos, on their end, kapag binili nila sa binenta nila sa distributor, may VAT na naman. So, nabawi na nila yung binayad nila dun sa pag-acquire nila ng materials. Yung mga distributor naman na yan, kapag kiniliver na dun sa mga for example, mga 7-Eleven or mga kung ano mga tindahan yan, supermarket, grocery stores, may another corresponding VAT na naman yan. So, na-transfer nila rin nila yung supposedly VAT. And then, yung last part is yung mga stores na 7-Eleven, grocery store, supermarket, na ikaw as consumer, pag binili mo, ikaw na yung magbabayad ng VAT. So, from imagine nyo, from producer or the supplier, nata-transfer niya yung VAT yung tax ng item na yun up to end ng consumer. Sinasabi na wala daw tayong ambag kasi hindi pa pag mga bata pa. Every purchase nyo, may corresponding VAT yan. And ikaw, as end consumer, yung nag-shoulder or ikaw yung sumalo ng burden ng VAT na yan. Since ikaw yung end consumer. Unless ibebenta mo rin with VAT. Pero yun nga, yun yung rationale behind nung shifting the tax burden. Kumbaga napapasa siya kung sino talaga yung magbe-benefit for that particular item. End consumer, kung sino yung magko-consume ng item. So, siya talaga yung magbabayad ng tax. Kasi, yun nga, meron siyang privilege to consume that item. Since siya talaga yung nag-benefit doon. So, siya yung magbabayad in the form of VAT. So, yun yung shifting the tax burden. So, meron din tayong 3 kinds of shifting. Pero, ang pinaka-ano lang dito, yung for example, yung sa VAT, yung forward shifting, sinasabi ko kanina, yung tax burden is transferred from the factor production through factors distribution until it finally settles on the ultimate purchaser or consumer. And then yung backward shifting naman, eto, ano nilang to, parang nangyayari to sa mga big companies na ang nangyayari, ina-adjust nila yung nila, kumbaga sa di ba may supply chain, may supply chain tayong tinatawag. So, may nag-raise ba ng hand? Wala naman nag-raise? Okay, wala. Yung sa backward shifting, anong nangyayari dyan, ina-adjust na nila sa level na aabot sa end consumer. For example, yung supplier, bababaan niya yung cost ng ano niya, in exchange na bababaan niya yung tax. Kumbaga, at their level pa lang sa yung supplier or yung main producer, supplier and main producer, sa kanilang end pa lang, kumbaga nagkaroon na ng negotiations. So yung tax na binayad nila, parang i-divert nila into some sort of expenses. For example, yung supposedly VAT ng material, sorry. Akala ko may nagre-raise ng hand. May tumutunog eh. Ayun. Wala tuloy ako. For example, yung main producer, ang mangyayari, yung supposedly tax, i-adjust nila ngayon dun sa tax nung, for example, yung sa wages nila, yung tax ng pasahod ng mga empleyado niya. So, ganun yung pag-backward shifting. Kabaliktaran lang siya ng forward shifting. Tapos, yung onward shifting naman, if you're using the 2 kinds of shifting, o yung forward and backward. Here in the Philippines, I think yung forward shifting, yung madalas na applicable. Yung backward shifting kasi mostly ano lang naman to, nagiging applicable lang kapag may mga multinational companies. Sige. Next. slide. So, tax avoidance. Can someone differentiate the two? Can I have a volunteer? Ako, umalis si Samantha. Ayun, tumutunog pala pag may umaalis. Sige, ikaw na lang Christian Gale. Hi, Christian. Hello? Nandito ka pa ba? Sige, si Hana na lang. Hana, can you differentiate the two?
Yung
And
tax,
tax evasion.
yung tax avoidance po, ito po yung parang mahanap ka po ng mga ways para po ma-lower po yung amount na babayaran mong tax. Samantalang po yung tax evasion, ito po yung illegal na ibig sabihin po, parang tinatakasan mo po yung pagbabayad mo ng tax. Ganun.
Yan. Basic yun. Yun yung meaning niya. No? And kami as tax practitioner, basically ginagawa namin itong tax avoidance. Ito yung somehow value adding sa mga clients namin. So, ano yung mga way business na somehow mapapababa yung mga tax na binabayaran. Din tayong mga tinatawag na mga tax treaty application, no? So meron kasi tayong mga tax treaties with other countries, pero for you to be able to be eligible sa incentives na yon, dapat susundin mo yung mga requirements, yung mga requirements na nilist ni government. Kapag na kayo mga CPA na kayo, tapos gusto nyong explore yung ang talagang ma-appreciate nyo doon is yung value na nabibigay nyo sa clients nyo, no? Yung meron ako for example, meron akong tax assessment. Big company siya, no? Large taxpayer siya. Pag sinabing large taxpayer, yun yung talagang mga blue chips company. Fish talaga kung ituturing ni BIR. So sila talaga yung mga pinapansin ni mga corresponding team na sineset yan si BIR na talagang tawag dito, audit or mag-check talaga ng mga recordings or mga books ng company pag mga blue chips ka. So I have this client before. They're being assessed by the BIR amounting to 100 million pesos, no? Deficiency VAT. VAT lang yun Usually ang pag nag-assess si BIR, all taxes yan. Income tax, withholding tax. Kasi yung mga maraming taxes kasi yun. Pero sa case ko, yung client ko ay na-assess siya sa VAT. So, value added tax. Ito kasing si client ko, sa health industry siya related. So, they are providing HMO, yung mga health insurance. So, they're being assessed amounting to 200 million na deficiency VAT daw, allegedly, by the BIR. So, kami yung kinuha nilang third party na tutulong sa kanila to rebut, to counter-argue, and to prove na hindi talaga ganun. Hindi ganun yung dapat bayaran ng client namin. So, ang ginawa namin, chinek namin yung mga assessment. Ano nangyayari pag nag-a-assess si BIR? Di ba, i-check niya yung mga books mo, yung mga balances mo, tapos mga corresponding yung supporting documents, mga ORs, official receipts, cash books, cash disbursement book, yun. Tapos sa system din, kino-compare niya din through, kasi may mga submission tayo, pero later on na natin siya madidiscuss. May mga sanitary requirements tayong sinasubmit kay BIR na chinecheck din ni BIR. So, chinek namin, may mga valid naman, may mga valid assessment, may mga hindi. So, yung mga hindi valid assessment, na-counter-argue namin. So, to cut the story short, from 200 million na dapat babayaran ni client, we were able to cut it down to 2 million. So, yun yung value na nabibigay natin or kayo soon kapag nagtaging tax practitioner kayo sa mga client no. Imagine yung if hindi sila nag-avail ng service no ng third party ng mga tax practitioner tapos nirebat lang nila yun ng syempre since ikaw 40 mo yung mga regulations talaga so you know how so nag-provide kami ng mga reconciliations, nag-provide kami ng mga additional support to further strengthen yung counter argument namin na hindi kami dapat magbayad ng tax. So yun, ano lang yun, isang example lang siya nung kumbaga if gugustuhin nyo man na employ yung into tax practice. No? Yun yung mga ma-experience yung scenario. So ayun. And then, eto naman, na tax evasion na to, ginagawa. So, eto yung hindi talaga nagbabayad or kumbaga, ina-alter talaga nila yung mga tax returns nila. No? Hindi nila nire-reflect yung true amount of income, hindi nila nire-reflect yung true amount of sales para mabawasan yung dapat bayaran nila ng tax, which is very wrong. No? Kasi yun nga, since taxes to privilege, no, since the government granted these companies, no, operate here in the Philippines, tapos syempre in exchange kikita sila, may mga customers sila dito, so dapat babayaran nila yung correct amount of tax in exchange dun sa binigay na privilege ni government na mag-operate dito sa Pilipinas. So yun, pero yun nga, hindi to kaya meron tayong ganitong concept kasi nangyayari siya especially in actual, no? May mga ganito talaga na talagang gumagawa ng mga illegal means to really lower the tax. Kasi nga, kung imagine mo, sabi nga burden tax is really a burden kasi babayaran mo siya in the form of cash. Kaya may mga ganito talaga. Pero hindi dapat kasi may corresponding consequences yan. So, pwede kang, of course, if you're matanggal yung credibility mo, yung reputation ng business kapag ginawa mo yan. So yun yung tax avoidance and tax evasion. Actually, both lowering the amount of tax liability, but ang pagkakaiba lang, yung isa legal, yung isa illegal. So ganun siya. Yun lang yung differentiation niya. Yung isa is legal, yung isa is illegal. Okay? Clear yun? So I think that's the last slide na for our discussion. So, sige, then I have 3 volunteers for this one. Parang basahin nyo lang yung sinulat nyo doon sa pinost ko na question. Sige, let's start with number 1. Sige, ikaw na lang, Cristina de la Cruz Cabahel. What is taxation? Para sa'yo. Hello, Christina.
Sir, wait lang po. Hanapin ko lang po yung ko.
Sige, okay. So, tawag na rin ako sa next one para check nyo na rin. For number 2, ikaw na lang, Francine Fajardo Cabiltes. And then the last one, how can taxation affect people? Ikaw na lang, Joanna Joyce. Okay?
Sir, okay na po.
Okay, sige.
Taxation is
For
the
you.
practice of collecting taxes or money from citizens based on their earnings and property.
Tama, correct naman. Though, ang naging focus mo lang yung collection. But yeah, that's correct, no? Since it's still part of the meaning ng taxation. Next one, number 2. How is taxation implemented?
Number 2 po, sir. How is taxation implemented? People began paying taxes to support the things we now take for granted, like food, housing, infrastructure, defense, and upgrading government facilities, and the lives of Filipinos both inside and outside of our country po.
Okay, correct. Actually, dito sa implementation of taxation, dito papasok yung role ni Department of Finance through BIR or yung Bureau of Internal Revenue. So basically, these BIR, sila talaga yung nag implement no? Sila yung nagpo-push through nung ways of collecting sila. So, kasi dito tayo nagbabayad, dito tayo returns natin, dito tayo kumukuha ng mga business permit, dito tayo nagbabayad ng mga business taxes, no? So, dito siya na-implement, no? Through the leadership of our Bureau of Internal Revenue. And the last one, how can taxation affect people?
Taxation affect the people through making a better education for all students and for securing our health in the time of calamity.
Yes, that's correct. Taxation can affect people in two ways. Affect in the sense na it is additional burden sa mga tao since you'll be required to pay taxes. Diba? Imagine if nagbabayad ka ng tax, yung dapat income mo na magagamit mo pa sana for your personal purposes, ibabayad mo siya sa government. Kaso yun nga, this is on the exchange na yung government naman will do its operation na ang magbe-benefit din is the public. So yun, people in both ways, in two ways. So that's correct. Okay, sagutan natin yung mga prepare kong activity. Mag-raise ng hand yung alam yung sagot. For number 1, pabasa tapos sabihin yung sagot. This will be recitation na din natin. Any volunteer? Sige, ako na lang magbabasa tapos tatawag ako ng sasagot. So, power to tax exclusively lodged with legislature but following exception Constitution, except A, power of local governments units to levy. B, authority of the president to fix tariff rates, imports, tonnage, wharfage, dues, and other duties and imposts. Letter C, administrative agencies on the implementation and collection of taxes. And letter D, provide entities the levy and enforcement. So anyone will answer? Nagre-raise na ng hand. O sige, ikaw na lang, Ivan Joshua. Anong answer sa number 1? Hello? Joshua, are you there? Sige. Anyone? Ikaw, Stephanie. Stephanie. You know the answer?
Wait lang po, try ko lang po.
Sure.
Sir, ano po? Letter B.
Letter B.
Apo.
Nice try. Letter B ba? As in B? Sige. Yung nag-raise ng hand. Summerly. What's your answer?
Sir, ano po? Try lang din po.
Sige, go.
Letter D?
Ayan, correct. Tama. So, eto yung kaninang sinasabi ko na yung legislature or yung power to tax, it has a process, no? Kumbaga, may source lang siya. Diba? Kaso may mga exceptions din, no? And these are the following exceptions. Number 1, yung power of local government. So, meron tayong tinatawag na local government tax na ang nag-implement, ang source or main source ng law na to will be the local government units. So, ito yung mga binabayaran natin sa munisipyo ng mga taxes na ang nag-implement or nag-implement is the local government unit. So, it is a tax in effect, pero it is under the local government units. Number 2, ito, one power siya ni President, no, to fix tariff rates, import at quotas, tonnage, wharfage, dues, and other inputs. So, part siya ng additional power ni President or to alter tariff rates or yung mga yan, import quotas, tonnage. So, another power siya ni President. So, kumbaga somehow hindi siya in line or contrary dun sa sense na sinasabi natin na kanina, may specific group of people lang or may specific source lang yung mga law related taxes. Kasi hindi si President pwede siyang mag-alter ng mga tariff rates. And then the third one, yung delegation or the implementation of collection of taxes. So basically, ito yung ginagawa ng BIR na hindi naman yung hindi yung talagang law o law governing body or law making body natin na mga law-related taxes yung nagagawa. Kasi ang nag-i-implement na nito yung collection and taxes through BIR. So letter D yung incorrect kasi yun nga, sila lang yung may source, sila lang yung may right, no, to levy the legislature in relation to the power of tax. So, nice one. Okay, next item, number 2, this is an inherent limitation of the power of taxation. Yes. Sige, sino yung nag-raise ng hand? Sige, Hana.
Try ko lang din po.
Sure.
Mabasahin pa po ba?
Hindi na. May copy naman lahat.
Po? Tingin ko po kasi yung the tax law cannot apply to the property of foreign governments po dahil po dapat po nasa jurisdiction lang po natin.
Yeah, correct. May explanation pa na. Tama si Hana, no? Nice. Of course, we have this jurisdiction nga, territorial inherent limitation. So, if it's under the foreign government, of course, our Philippine government and Philippine taxation will not apply. So, that's an inherent limitation. Nice. Okay, next item. Wait, asan ba yung slide? Ayan. Third question. Any volunteer left? Yes, Samantha.
Si Samantha na ako.
Sino yung nagsalita? Yes, Samantha. Sige, si Trisha na lang. Since siya yung second one na nag-raise ng hand. What's your answer, Trisha?
Sir, letter C po.
Sir, sino pong right?
Sorry. Dalawa ba yung Trisha sa inyo? Sorry, hindi ko alam. Yung Trisha na blue, yung icon, si Trisha May.
Sir, letter C po.
Bakit?
Kasi po sir, wala naman, dapat po hindi po makukulong yung isang tao po nang dahil lang po sa hindi po niya binoto yung dapat niya pong, yung di niya po binoto yung taong nagbayad po sa kanya. Yun lang po sir, pagkakaintindi ko po.
Okay. Sige, explain natin, no? Yung letter C, kaya siya yung, tama ba? Ang sagot mo is, anong item tayo, letter C? Number 3, sorry, number 3. This is a constitutional limitation of the power of taxation. So number 1, the rule of taxation cannot be delegated. Number 2, pwedeng i-delegate yan. Number B, letter B, the power of taxation is limited to the territorial jurisdiction. Tama, correct. C, wait lang, medyo magulo yung question. Dapat these are the constitutional limitation except one. Kasi yung D, ano rin siya eh, limitation. Letter 1, B and D limitation. Yung letter C ang correct answer in the sense na actually itong poll tax na sinasabi nito, ito yung personal tax, if familiar kayo. Parang required ka na magbayad, hindi naman required, parang tax siya dahil existing ka or dahil in that place, no? So ito yung binabayaran ting poll tax. Pero ito naman, hindi sa lahat ng taxes, ito yung kapag hindi mo binayaran, hindi ka pwedeng makulong. Yun yung meaning nung no person shall be imprisoned for debt or non-payment of a poll tax. So hindi siya constitutional limitation. Kasi parang ano ba to? It is a exemption taxes na sinet natin na pag hindi mo siya nabayaran, you'll not be required na hindi ka the government you na makulong dahil hindi ka lang nagbayad. Ang rationale naman behind that is that yun nga kasi ang poll tax fixed siya, no, for since nag-exist as a citizen, meron kang corresponding na poll tax. Kaso nga, yun nga, since ang very main reason one of the main reasons ng taxation is to mitigate yung inequalities. And of course, you'll be only taxed to your capability. So lahat tayo as a citizen, as a human living citizen, we have corresponding tax. Pero what if you don't have the capability to pay, di ba? Kaya hindi ka pwedeng i-imprison. Yun yung rationale naman behind that. Parang kasi nga contradiction siya dun sa sinasabi natin na dapat the payment of taxation, the enforcement of contribution would be limited only to its capacity to pay or capacity to contribute. Yung poll tax kasi fixed every human or living citizen na tax. So kapag hindi ka nagbayad doon, kahit na intentionally hindi mo binayaran, hindi ka pa rin makukulong. Yun nga yung sabi ko kanina. Dapat within the limit lang kasi hindi naman lahat ng living na citizen is capable of paying the poll tax. So yun yung exceptions. So the correct exception, so correct answer yung letter D. So number 4. Yes, Abigail.
Letter D po.
Letter D, bakit? Bakit po letter D? Taxation is distinguished from police power and eminent domain.
Parang
Explain
ano
mo?
po,
Sige, go.
wala siyang limit kahit na anong limit man po yung na-impose na amount.
Ang question is, what would be the distinguishment between police and eminent domain? So, ano yung pagkakaiba? I'm sorry. Ano ang kaibahan ni taxation as distinguished from police power and eminent domain? So distinguishment ni taxation, yung number 1, which is the power to tax, as compared to the police power and eminent domain. Sige, isa-isa na lang natin para ma-discuss din. So sa taxation, may be exercised by private individuals. So mali yung letter mali yung letter A kasi nga hindi naman in-exercise ng private individuals ang taxation. So number 2, letter B may be exercised only by the government, which is mali din. Since yung tawag dito, yung eminent domain nag-a-apply din sa hindi lang naman government, no? If the project would be involving public, the government and private entities. And then yung letter C, limited to cover the cost to regulate. I think etong C would be applicable only to the police power. And then letter D, generally no limit as to the limit amount that may be imposed. Kasi yung police power, yung cost niya, limited lang dun sa cost to regulate. So hindi tama yung for police power. Sa eminent domain, generally no limit as the limit that amount may be imposed. Sa power of eminent domain, yung cost niya would be limited lang dun sa amount nung dun sa project, dun sa related sa project na kukunin or kung dun sa amount na ipitake ni. So the correct answer nga is letter D. So taxation is distinguished from police domain, letter D. Medyo tricky yung question. Okay, next item. Sige, Desiree.
Letter C po.
Letter C. Bakit letter C?
Kasi po, yung statement 1 po, hindi po siya legislative in character, administrative in character po.
Tama. The levying, imposition, and collection of administrative in character. That's correct. Next item. Letter number 6, scope of the power of taxation with yes, Abigail.
Letter C po, supreme.
Yeah, it's a supreme power, no? Sorry, ano ulit answer mo?
Letter C po, supreme.
Which means taxation covers many things. I think hindi letter C, no? Kasi pag supreme, yun lang yung we're talking about kasi that with ang question kasi will cover. So mas applicable yung anyone. Sige, isa-isahin na lang natin. Sige, summarily, yes.
Sir, parang mas applicable po siya sa comprehensive po.
Kasi it covers many things, meaning may system, may system siya na covered. Sige, isa-isahin natin. Wait lang. Wait lang, may tumawag. Natin, balikan natin yung number 6. discuss natin yung... So for number 7, any volunteer? Sino pa ba hindi ko narinig magsalita? Si Ella May. Parang hindi ko pa narinig. Ella May Castillo.
Sir, ano po? Hula lang po ah.
Sige lang, okay lang.
Ano po? D po?
Letter?
D po, dog.
Bakit? Police power as distinguished from the power of taxation. I think na na-covered din to kanina, no? Si police power, ano lang siya, yung collection niya, yung collection would be limited lang dun sa cost of regulation as compared kay power of... Yes, meron siyang public purpose, pero hindi lang, kumbaga, walang certain amount or fixed certain amount na need mong i-collectahin. So, unlimited yung power. So, yung distinguishment niya kay police power. Sige. Thank you, Ella May. Si Ju Marie. Hindi ko pa ata narinig si Ju Marie. Number 8.
Wait lang po, sir.
Sige lang.
Sir, di po.
Sorry?
Di po. Dog
Letter
po.
D. The following the criteria of special assessment except Sige, explain natin ang special assessment. Your answer is
Di po.
Sige. Ano ba ang special assessment in the first place? Explain natin. Special assessment, this is a special contribution or enforced contribution that the government will be requiring from certain people lang din. So, for example, si government may plan na gumawa ng irrigation. So, it happened na you have a farm or may bukid ka near that irrigation, or you have a farm, for instance. So, the government can require to ask for special assessment. Bakit may karapatan na special assessment? Kasi project, no, given that irrigation, kumbaga yung value ng farmland mo mas tataas kasi nga you're near sa irrigation, di ba? If ang considerate ka sa, kunwari, kung into buying of land ka talaga, ability, if near ba siya sa road, or maganda ba yung if farmland siya, may malapit pang irrigation, di ba? So, yun yung mga kinukonsider. So, meaning, that particular project will give value to your land or to your property. So, it gives you some sort of privilege din, no? Kaya, the government can ask for special assessment. Kaya special assessment kasi nga, yun nga, depende lang siya dun sa project if it will really be beneficial dun sa property mo. So, in that, government can ask you to pay the special assessment in exchange that the certain project will really, will really add value to your property. So this one, the correct answer is Tama, it is based on the governance in the body where it is legitimate objectives. It is levied only on land. It is based solely on the benefits derived by the owners of the land and did not result to person. So, ang correct answer is letter A. Pag hindi ka nakapagbayad dun sa personal assessment, it will not form part as your personal liability of the person assessed. Kasi nga, yun nga, siya, pero hindi naman din siya, kumbaga, hindi siya ginusto in the first place. Parang naapektuhan ka lang ng project na yun. So, it will not result to personal liability. But of course, the government will ask you to pay the corresponding special assessment kasi nga meron ka benefits from that project. So yun yung sa special assessment. Next number. Number 9. Ano pang di ko narinig? Dalawa rin yung Samantha. Si Samantha Abelio, parang hindi ko pa siya narinig.
Po.
Ano?
Number 9, as regards revenue bill, which of the following is not correct? B po, the House of Representatives may propose amendments if the bill originates from the Senate.
Would you know why, ba't yun yung sinagot mo?
Po.
Sige, explain natin. Actually, ang sabi ko nga, the bill or the really originates from the House of Representatives. So, binaliktad niya kasi yung letter A and B, kaya parang dun pa lang malalaman mo na yung correct answer. So, sa letter B, hindi si House of Representatives ang nagpo-propose ng amendments. Kasi the bill really originates the House of Representatives. So, ang nagpo-propose ng mga amendments would be the Senate. So, yun yung role nila, no? So, the correct answer is letter B. Yung letter C, correct siya kasi the President may recommend lang, talagang mag-originate sa kanya, no? The President may recommend a revenue bill to the Congress. And then letter D, a House of Representative version and Senate version approved separately and consolidated with both House approving the consolidated version. So, last item, number 10. Hindi ko na... si Ivan. Ano ba si Ivan? Siya yung di ata sumagot kanina, no? Hello, Ivan?
Hello po.
Hello. Anong sagot mo sa number 10?
B po, shift.
Bakit? Bakit yun ang sagot mo?
Yung shifting po, napapasa naman po yung taxation.
Yan. The following forms of escape from taxation result to loss of revenue to the government except. Yeah, tama. Kasi sa of course, walang babayaran, meaning loss of revenue. Sa shifting, hindi nabawasan yung revenue ni government kasi nabayaran pa rin siya in the end, no? Kumbaga napasa lang kung sino yung magbabayad, kung sino yung mag-shoulder ng payment. But basically, yung amount of revenue na supposedly kikitain ni government, na-receive niya pa rin. So the correct answer is letter B. Yung avoidance, same din, nabawasan kasi nga gumawa ng means of lowering the amount of tax to be paid. And then yung letter D, yung so, kanina, balikan natin yung number 6. Isa-isahin na lang natin yan, ano yung meaning ng plenary, supreme, and unlimited. No? So yun, yung kanina kong sinabi, bakit it is a supreme power of the government. Since ito talaga, supreme in the sense na lahat nga pwede niyang taksan. May it be person, things, transaction. Kumbaga, whatever the subject may be, pwede niyang i-enforce na magbayad ng tax. Kaya siya supreme, no? And then, bakit naman siya tinawag na comprehensive? Kasi marami siyang kino-cover. It covers a lot of objects, no? It covers person, it covers din na mga activities, mga transaction, mga businesses, mga professions, kasi may mga binabayaran din yung mga professionals. And then yung sabi ko nga, yung right of donation, yung mga privileges mo, kino-cover niya din yan, kaya siya naging comprehensive, no? It covers a lot of items. And then unlimited, kasi it is unlimited in the sense that the only limitation ay yung law o yung legislature na nag-i-impose ng mga tax citizens na nagbabayad. So, unlimited siya in the sense na ang limitation niya lang would be the related laws. Kasi parang ang nangyari, parang lahat katataksan in the sense na meron tayong guidance, meron and regulations. So, yun yung limitation lang nung yung unlimited power na sinasabi. So, kaya tayo meron tinatawag na taxation power is unlimited. And then plenary siya but kasi hindi siya complete, no? It is not It is not incomplete that in the sense that yung government pwedeng gumawa to make sure na yung tax is makokolekta niya. Ano pa ba yung item? Yun yung last slide ko. Sige. Kayo nagsalita, no? So, can someone from the group lista yung lahat na nag-attend during my class? So, I'll be the points sa inyo since lahat naman kayo nagsalita. I think so, lahat. So, at this point, do you have any questions, guys? Actually, ano na yun, 2 parts na siya ng modules. Pinagsama ko lang into one since konti lang naman.
Sir, i-upload po ba to sa GCR?
Yung recording po ba?
Opo.
Yes. I'll be uploading this one. Para na rin dun sa mga hindi nakapag-attend. Wala silang additional points. Kaya, yun. If kaya, if hindi naman conflict sa schedule, I don't think conflict kasi full load student naman kayo. So, kayang-kayang umattend talaga. May questions? Anyone? Hindi ako magbibigay ng assignment. Don't worry. Hindi na ako naniniwala sa assignment. So, huwag kayong umasang magbibigay akong assignment. Siguro mga seat works na lang kapag kasi kaming may mga sinuset na seat works. Pero ako personally, hindi rin ako ma-seat work na tao kasi especially kapag hindi na-discuss, search lang siya eh. Pero maganda rin siyang practice since sana kapag sinearch nyo, pag kinopy-paste niyo yung answer, binabasa din para kahit paano naiintindihan yung kinakopy natin. At yun. calendar pala. Alam nyo na yung kung kailan yung term exam and everything. Meron kayo nun? Sige. Based dun sa akin, na-share sa akin, ang period of examination, first period would, first term pala, sorry, would be from January 27 to 28. So, medyo matagal pa naman. Medyo madami pa tayong madidiscuss. And then, second term is February 21 to March 4, 2022. And then, the final term exam would be on, for non-graduating, March 21 to April 2. So, sige, isa-send ko na lang sa GC natin sa Messenger para may guide kayo. Main, ano tayong, anong main kayo? Main 3? Main 5?
Main 5 po.
Lahat naman no, nasa GC na. Kasi if I have announcements, dun ko siya i-announce. Of course, ipopost ko din sa, sa GCR. Pero yun yung main communication natin. Yun din yung in-advise sa akin nila Sir JM. So, make sure na babasa natin pag may mga announcement doon. No? Sige. Do you still have questions? May question pa ba kayo? Nag-raise ba ng hand? Wait lang.
Sir.
Yes, Samantha.
Sir, papas po ba yung module 1 and 2 po?
Ipapas?
Opo.
Kasi sabi nila wala pa daw module yung iba.
Ay,
tama ba?
Po, sir.
Opo.
Ang module yung iba? Nung reason, pero alam ko yung gagawin.
Naubusan daw po, sir. Naubusan daw po ng stock po ng na-print na module, kaya po yung mga delivery ang pinili po na mode of transportation ng module po hindi po nakakuha ng module sa BAM 031 po.
Dapat talaga siya sa inyo. Sige. Sige. Siguro extend ko until Friday. Hindi. Christmas break na pala. Kung wala pa rin ng 23, inform ako kahit sino na lang sa class. Wala pa rin sa 23 yung modules nyo for BAM 031. Inform nyo ako. So, hindi ko expect na maipasa nyo siya. Pero, sa iba sorry. Paano nyo pa sinasubmit yan? Hard copy yan, no?
Opo. Pinipicturean
lang.
Ano po, sir? Mag-ano po kasi sa class. Tapos
sorry.
po. Maglalagay lang po kayo sa G-class, tapos dun po kami mag-a-upload.
Sige. Sorry, hindi pa ako ganun ka-familiar sa ways of teaching. Sige. Pero i-ask ko yun. Pero for the meantime, for those na wala pa, sige, baka sakana lang. Pwede naman, soft copy. Sige, hingi ako ng soft copy kay Ma'am Julie. Sige. Pero, wait, na-curious ako. Ina-upload nyo siya, parang drive, mag-upload ako ng link for drive, tapos doon nyo i-upload, no?
Apo, pwede naman po ganun, sir. Yung iba po namin teacher, ganun po yung ginagawa.
Pero yung iba, pero yung usual talaga. Nakakapag-upload ba kayo sa GCR ng file? Kaya nyo din? Or for teacher lang yun?
Nakakapag-upload din po ng picture tsaka po mga video.
Sir, magpo-post na po kayo po sa GCR po ng parang assignment. Tapos meron po kami dong, pwede na po kami mag-add po ng photos po doon.
Oh. Under classwork, no? Sige. Sige,
Pati
ano na
po,
lang.
Yung module
po
1
ng,
and 2
ng
po ba?
income taxation po, wala pa rin pong binibigay.
Sorry?
Pati po yung books po namin para po sa income taxation po, wala pa rin pong napoprovide.
Sige. Bali, ang to concern nyo, no, yung wala pang module, hingi ng soft copy for the meantime, and then books ng income taxation. Sige, re-raise ko yan. Ano pa? Parang may
Sir,
nagtatanong
confirm
kanina.
ko lang
Yan.
po.
Yes.
If yung module 1 and 2 po yung sasagutan po muna namin.
Yes, module 1 and 2 na yun. Pero, sige, just natin yung, ideally, dapat before break, no, na-submit nyo na. Pero, sige, tingnan natin, since yung iba wala pa. Pag maaga akong nabalikan ni Miss Julie or ni Miss Amy dun sa soft copy. Sige, summary.
Sir, magpo-post na lang po kayo sa GCR kung saan po isasubmit.
Yes po. Maglalagay na lang ako doon. For for both Module 1 and Module 2.
Sige po.
Pag nagawa ko na, inform ko din kayo through Messenger para makita niyo din agad. Do you have any more questions? It's already 2:57. We still have 3 minutes. Pero tatapusin ko hanggang module 4 quiz. Tapos, I think 7 yung modules for first grading. 8. Tama. First 4, then quiz, then 5 another quiz after. So, we'll be having 2 quizzes. Pero short quiz lang. Para lang ma-check yung kung may naintindihan ba. And I'll be giving questions na wala sa handout or basta na-discuss ko siya sa discussion natin. Ayun. Sige. Question Pat. May 2 minutes pa tayo. Mag-stop sharing na ako. Hindi pa lang pwedeng kumuha ng list of names ng mga umattend ngayon sa class. Tapos isend na lang sa Messenger. May president pa kayo?
Sir, nasend na. Na-screenshot na po.
Okay. Nice. Sino nag... okay. Sige. Thank you. Ano ba gamit nyo pag phone lang, no? Phone, laptop, yun, Ang halo-halo.
Phone.
Phone lang. Sige. If wala na tayong question, kasi 2:59 na, so I think yun lang. That will be all for this session. I'll see you next year na, no? Next year na ulit ang pasukan. Sige. Thank you everyone for attending my class and stay safe.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you po, sir.
Keep safe po.
Bye-bye. Ingat kayo.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.